Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so headed to the gym today. Also, I'm going to get a haircut. What am I wearing? Wristwatch, check. The Casio World Time and GMT Master. GMT Master 2? Yeah, you were. Really, I mean, just objectively, this is an amazing watch. I mean, with the press of a button, absolute perfect time. I mean, it is 1:29 and 10, 11, 12 seconds in the afternoon, and that is dead on. That is absolutely dead on for $40. What time is it in New York? With the press of a button, I could tell you. I could also tell you, well, pretty much any country, all right? I could just cycle through. That's amazing, and it's amazing what we've come to. And the GMT Master 2 is beautiful, is functional. It's a beautiful combination of form and function, but it really isn't the Master anymore. Something like this is. And there are even better options out there, probably. I mean, this is sort of a lower end world time option, and it's worlds better than what was available back in the day. But of course, in 1954, the GMT Master was the world time watch to have. All right, so what do I want to talk about today? Well, I gave James Cameron a bit of crap for giving away his Submariner to a random guy in the woods. Well, that's not quite how he'd put it, and not quite how it should be put, but that's another video. I don't want to dwell on that. But there's another celebrity that is parting with his lifelong Rolex, and that's Jack Nicklaus, the golfer. What do I think about it? Let's talk about it. All right, so Jack Nicklaus, come December, is going to auction off his Rolex Day-Date, solid gold, yellow gold Day-Date. And he's doing it for charity. He has, along with his wife, a foundation to help children, and the money from the sale is going to go to that. Now, where did he get the watch? Well, he got it in let me roll that back a bit. He chose it in 1966. Actually, here in Tokyo. He was here for something golf-related, and he was invited to a Rolex event by Arnold Palmer, who had a relationship with Rolex, sponsor-wise. He went there with another golfer, Gary Player, and they were presented with a table full of Rolexes, one of which they could choose for themselves. And Gary Player pointed out to Jack Nicklaus the Day-Date and said, you should choose that one, it's the best one. And known as the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus thought it kind of matched having the gold dial and the gold color, and so that's what he chose. And a year later, it was sent to him, and he started wearing it, and he's been wearing it ever since. He's taken it scuba diving, he's played sports with it. It's pretty much stayed on his wrist since 1967. And there are lots of pictures with him winning championships, and he has it on his wrist. His custom was to, when he played golf, he would put it along with his wallet in his golf bag. And then the second he was done playing golf, he would take his wallet out, and he would take his Day-Date out and put it on, more for safety reasons than anything, because he didn't know where his bag might be. And so it wound up on his wrist pretty quickly after he finished his tournaments, and when he won, he was photographed with it. And so that's sort of the well, these days that's pretty standard. I mean, I think it's probably pretty calculated, and people Roger Federer doesn't wear a Rolex when he plays, but you better be damn sure he has it when he gets his trophy. And I'm sure that's calculated. But for Jack Nicklaus, it was just like, getting his wallet and getting his Rolex out of his golf bag where it was there during his playing, and putting it on his body, on his person for safekeeping, and hence the countless photos of that watch. Now, he was prompted to do this by the sale of the Daytona, the actor. I'm going to think of it in a minute. Paul Newman. Yes, Paul Newman. Paul Newman's Daytona sold for $17.8 million, and Jack Nicklaus heard about that and thought, I think I could get something for my my watch, and I think he will get something for his watch. Will he get that much? I don't think so, but he'll definitely make some nice money for that charity. Now, the question is it the right thing to do, right? I mean, I was pretty opposed to what Cameron did. Was it the right thing? Well, what do you think first before I talk about it? Put your comments in the comment section. But is he making a huge mistake like James Cameron? All right, so that was a good workout, and I think I have a new gem watch. This is really nice, and I'll tell you what, it's got a countdown timer, and my, what is it, F91W Casio has a stopwatch, and I use the stopwatch to time the 2 hours I'm in there. There's a 2-hour limit, and if you go over, you have to pay a little bit more, and so the stopwatch is occupied with that on my F91W, whereas I can use the stopwatch to time the 2 hours, but I can use the countdown timer to time sets. Now, usually I just look at my watch and, I just remember, okay, 41 seconds, and then when 41 seconds rolls around again, that's a minute. I usually wait a minute between sets, but I can actually use the countdown timer, and it just is a little more fun. I can press the button and get an alarm, and when I cut it off, it resets itself back to 1 minute. So that is a huge advantage there. One disadvantage of this watch is it's got kind of this NATO strap type thing on, and right now it's wet, whereas the F91W, I can just towel dry it off and put it on and it's fine, whereas this is going to take probably about an hour to dry. Not a big deal, a little uncomfortable, but I guess that's the price you pay for that countdown timer. I don't know, I'll probably go back and forth, but and another good thing is while I'm using the timer, I can get a readout of the time. All right, so that's one thing that the F91W doesn't do. When you're looking at your stopwatch, you just have your stopwatch. So when you're actually using your stopwatch or the timer, that little window between the day and the stopwatch or the timer, it displays the time, whereas usually it displays the day and the date and the year. So anyway, pretty good watch. All right, so back to Jack Nicklaus. All right, well, what do you think? Well, I think he's doing a good thing, and first of all, number one, he's considered this, and it's not a spur-of-the-moment rash decision like I think James Cameron's was, and so I think he's making this decision with a clear mind and with some forethought. So I think that's important and an important factor. Number two, he's going to be doing a lot of good with this, and it's going to help kids and help with children with health problems. So how can you not support that? And number two, and this comes from a quote from Jack Nicklaus himself. He says, and I'm going to try to get it as exact as possible, but he says, I decided that if I were going to give it to one of my children, it would just end up in a drawer somewhere. And so I thought, I could probably do a lot more good with this watch. And I think he's absolutely right. Look, he said kids, so it appears he has more than one. And, the question is, that's his one and only watch. I mean, he's had this watch for over 60 years, and his kids know that watch. Everybody knows that watch. I mean, that watch is Jack Nicklaus's watch, inside and out. And it's not like he has one to give to one child and another to give to another child. I mean, there is one Jack Nicklaus watch, and that is it. And how do you make that call? How do you decide who gets it? Is it the older child? Is it the younger child? Is it your favorite child? Is it? How do you decide that? It could actually create a lot of problems between the siblings. And in that way, I think just sort of doing something good with it and sort of taking that potential source of, family infighting away might be a great decision. Would it end up in a drawer somewhere? Probably not. But the kids won't fight about it, that's for sure. And another kind of cool thing is, you don't know what's going to happen if you give it to your kids. Would it be sold? Would it be, we don't know. Would they hoard it? Would they cherish it? Would it end up in a drawer? Would they pass it on? Would they flip it? Would the grandkids flip it? I mean, what would they lose it? We just don't know. And I feel like putting it out for auction really makes it something of a collector's piece. I mean, it's sort of like the Paul Newman Daytona. I mean, is somebody going to wear that? We don't know, but somebody's going to take care of it for sure. They paid $17.8 million for it, and I think by putting it up for auction, somebody is going to spend a lot of money for it, and if somebody spends a lot of money for it, they're going to take good care of it, and it's going to sort of be immortalized in a way. It might wind up in a museum, but it will sort of always exist out there, and it exists, and it will exist in a way that I think is a safer proposition than leaving it to one of his kids. So I think that's a really good decision, and he's the perfect age to do it. I mean, he's used it all of his life, and it's got a great history, and a lot of great stories, a lot of great pictures of it, and it's got a huge amount of provenance, and he's getting towards the end of his life, and he's making this call, and I think it's a really good move, and he can, for the remainder of his life, get something else. Isn't it time for a change, Jack? Right? And so it's going to be going up for a December auction, and it's actually going to be on tour through major cities, and potential buyers can check it out. You can check it out if you're thinking of placing a bed, and so yeah, I think it's a completely sort of different scenario than James Cameron's, and I respect Jack Nicklaus for it, and I think he's doing a great thing, and totally support him in that. And whoever gets the watch is going to be really rich and really lucky, and I'm sure they'll take great care of it, and it is and will be a legendary watch. And you got to wonder what happened to that James Cameron sub. It's missing in action. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's on the elder's wrist. We don't know. Thank you, Captain Danny, for the question and the video topic idea. I think it's haircut time for me. Take care. Let me know what you think. Is Jack making a big mistake? Let me know in the comment section. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.